Hello, everyone. Merry Christmas, by the way. I hope you're sitting down for this one because what I witnessed today at the National Arts Center is something else entirely. Before we get into this, you know the deal. If you're watching this, hit that subscribe button. You understand what we're doing here. We're cutting through the noise, the political theater that passes for leadership these days. Now let's get into it. You know what I saw today? I saw the current president receive a peace prize from the International Football Federation. Yeah, a peace prize from a soccer organization. I've played mobsters, tough guys, presidents in movies. But never did I think I'd see the day when the organization that runs international soccer would create a brand new peace prize and hand it to the sitting president at the World Cup draw ceremony. It's like something out of a screenplay I'd reject for being too unbelievable. But here we are. First, let me address what's circulating online. Some people are saying the president fell asleep during the event. Let's stick to the facts. He didn't fall asleep. The man was wide awake. What he was doing was standing there accepting the so-called Football Federation Peace Prize from the organization's president, who seems to have developed quite the bromance with our commander-in-chief. And let me tell you about this prize. This thing was literally invented last month. Created out of thin air after the president didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize he's been desperately campaigning for. So what does the Football Federation do? They create their own peace prize. According to major newspapers, this decision was made so quickly that it surprised the Federation's own senior board members. The people running this organization didn't even know this was coming. The Federation president just pushed it through and boom, suddenly there's a peace prize. Why would he do that? The Federation president has been cozying up to the current administration. He showed up at diplomatic summits and has been saying publicly that the president deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. But when the Nobel Committee didn't bite, the Football Federation made their own prize. It's like when you don't get invited to the cool kids party, so you throw your own party and declare yourself prom king. Here's what we know about this Peace Prize. It's supposed to recognize exceptional actions for peace and unity. Sounds noble, right? Except there's no transparency about how winners are chosen. Human rights organizations reached out asking about the process, and guess what? No answer. Which means there is no process. There are no other nominees. It was created specifically for one person. This wasn't an award based on merit. This was a political favor disguised as an honor. The National Arts Center used to be an apolitical place for the arts, but the president took over as board chair earlier this year, kicked out the previous leadership, and now it's hosting what reporters are calling a politically charged World Cup draw. One of his close associates is running the White House World Cup task force. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. Let's talk about what actually happened at this event. The president showed up in his usual style. Red tie, big gestures. He was standing alongside the leaders of two neighboring countries because all three nations are co-hosting the upcoming World Cup. Should be a historic moment, right? Except the whole thing felt less like a celebration of international soccer and more like a political rally. A famous musical group performed their biggest hit. A renowned classical singer performed. The draw assistants included legendary athletes from various sports. But what do most of them have to do with soccer? Nothing. But they're big names, and that's what this was about, making the president look good in front of the world. When the Federation president presented the Peace Prize, he called the recipient a really close friend. He praised him for his exceptional actions to promote peace and unity. Then the president got up there and said the world is a safer place now, and that the country is the hottest nation anywhere in the world. Hottest country. Not greatest, not strongest. Hottest. Like we're a trendy nightclub. Earlier in the day, the president told reporters he wasn't sure if he was getting the Peace Prize. He said it was just a rumor. But of course he knew. This whole thing was orchestrated from the beginning. Now, why does this matter? It's not just about a trophy. It's about what this represents. The president has spent his entire second term blurring the lines between politics and everything else. Sports, entertainment, international relations. He turns everything into a platform for himself, and organizations like the Football Federation are enabling it because they want access and favor. The president attended the Football Federation Club World Cup final earlier this year, and instead of just presenting the trophy and stepping aside, he stayed on stage during the winning team's celebration. The players looked confused. He even pocketed a gold medal, just put it in his jacket pocket like a souvenir. And there are real concerns about what the administration's policies will mean for the World Cup. The government has placed travel restrictions on 19 countries and might expand these restrictions. Officials say they're working on a special pass for people who've bought tickets, but nobody knows how that will work. So you've got the Football Federation handing out peace prizes to a leader whose immigration policies might prevent millions of soccer fans from attending the tournament. I know what some of you are thinking. Why do you care so much? It's just sports. But it's not. Everything is calculated with this administration. Everything is about image, about power. And what bothers me is how many people are willing to go along with it. Here's what really gets me. The president has been impeached twice. Once for withholding military aid to pressure another country. Once for inciting violence at the Capitol. He was acquitted both times because his party had enough votes to protect him. But those impeachments were real. The charges were serious. And now, in his second term, there have been multiple new attempts. In the spring, a representative introduced 7 articles of impeachment, accusing the president of obstruction of justice, abuse of executive power, and violations of the Constitution. But when she tried to force a vote, even her own party told her to back off. They didn't want to look divided ahead of elections. Then another representative tried again, introducing articles of impeachment related to military strikes on another country's nuclear facilities. He argued the president violated the War Powers Clause by launching attacks without congressional authorization. But when the vote came, it failed spectacularly. The president mocked it on social media, daring them to try again. "Make my day," he wrote, like it's all a game. And that's the problem. For this president, it is a game. It's all about winning, about ratings, about being the biggest name in the room. He doesn't care about constitutional norms or international law. He cares about what makes him look powerful. And too many people are letting him get away with it because his party controls both chambers of Congress. Impeachment efforts have no chance, so he knows he's untouchable. He can do whatever he wants. And that's dangerous for any democracy. According to recent polls, the president's approval ratings are mixed. His base remains fiercely loyal, but among independents and moderates there's growing concern. People are worried about the trade wars, the immigration crackdowns, his foreign policy, and stunts like this peace prize. Most citizens will tell you he's good at generating headlines, but terrible at governing. He's all show, no substance. But the president doesn't care what most citizens think. He cares what his supporters think, and they eat this stuff up. They see him getting a peace prize, standing on stage with world leaders, and they think he's making the country great again. All they see is their guy winning. It's tribalism, and it's tearing this country apart. Let me speculate about what comes next. This president never stops. Next summer, when the World Cup happens, he's going to insert himself into every major moment. He'll be at the opening ceremony, at key matches. He'll probably present the trophy to the winning team. And throughout the tournament, he'll use it as a platform to promote himself. Everything will be about him. And if there are protests, he'll use them to paint himself as a victim. He'll say the world is against him because he's making the country strong. He'll turn legitimate criticism into fuel for his political fire. And if the administration expands those travel bans, we could see a World Cup where significant portions of the global fan base can't attend. Imagine a banned country making it to the knockout rounds and their fans being unable to enter. It would be a disaster for the Federation, for the spirit of the World Cup, and for international relations. But the president won't care because it fits his narrative. Look, I'm not here to tell you what to think, but I am here to give you the facts, to call out the absurdity, and to remind you that this kind of behavior isn't normal. It's not how presidents are supposed to act, not how international organizations are supposed to operate, and not how democracies are supposed to function. When a soccer organization creates a fake peace prize to curry favor with a political leader, that's corruption. When that leader accepts it knowing it's manufactured, that's narcissism. And when millions watch it happen and just shrug, that's the death of accountability. So what do? First, we stay informed. We don't let them gaslight us into thinking this is normal. We call it out. We hold our leaders accountable. Because every voice matters. Every person who refuses to accept this as the new normal is pushing back against a dangerous trend. And second, we vote. Next year, there are important elections. The composition of Congress could change. If the opposition party takes control, those impeachment efforts might have a chance. And even if not, having a Congress that provides checks and balances would be a start. Because right now, with one party controlling everything, the president is operating without restraint. He knows there are no consequences. And that's terrifying. You know what this reminds me of? Authoritarian regimes where leaders surround themselves with yes men and stage elaborate events to project strength. Countries where organizations praise the leader and dissent is punished. We used to think we were different. But now we've got a president who demands loyalty, who turns every public appearance into propaganda. And we've got institutions enabling it because they're afraid. That's not democracy. And it should scare all of us. Let me wrap this up. Today, the president got a fake peace prize from the Football Federation. It was staged to make him look good. Behind the spectacle, there are serious concerns about how policies will impact the World Cup and whether millions of fans will even be able to attend. Meanwhile, impeachment efforts have failed repeatedly, not because the president hasn't done anything wrong, but because his party refuses to hold him accountable. The majority of citizens are watching with frustration, exhaustion, and disbelief. But some of us are still here, still paying attention, still calling it out. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I hope you're spending it with people you love. Take care of yourself because these times are heavy. But don't lose hope. Don't stop caring. Don't let them normalize the insanity. Stay informed. Stay engaged. And remember that your voice matters. Subscribe if you haven't already. It's just you and me having a conversation. And sometimes that's exactly what we need. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.